Welcome back to the Cinema Sessions. My name is Kieran, and today I'm reunited with
Seamus. Hello, everyone.
Welcome back, Seamus.
Kieran, good to be back. Yeah,
glad
from
to have
my
you back.
various right-wing activities that you all speculated I was up to.
Yeah, I think Keith might have taken over on them now. He's not here this week.
I believe so. Yeah, he's a fine substitute. maybe slightly more fascistic than I am, but time will tell. Time will tell.
Anyway, so
No specifics, of course. It wouldn't behoove me.
Anyway, today we're indulging in the raunchy Black Christmas comedy Bad Santa, a festive tale about alcoholism, Santa Claus kinks, and moral redemption. We'll explore the film's ultimate question on if this foul-mouthed, pants-pissing Santa can be redeemed, and if the film itself lives up to the Christmas spirit despite its moral ambiguity. A fair reminder to all our viewers out there that while the real Santa might only come once a year, when he's played by Billy Bob Thornton, he comes a lot more than that. So let's not waste any more time. Throw on a Santa hat, crack open your favourite bottle of whiskey, break open your advent calendars, and let's get into it.
A fine introduction to the film, very appropriate for the film we'll be discussing today, for sure. Yeah,
That's it.
Yeah. So Keith is younger than me, but you're a lot younger than me.
Yeah.
Now I saw this in the cinema,
Well,
and I was old enough to see it. Probably more than old enough.
Didn't have to sneak in.
So, like, how was this even released before you were born? You were alive when this was
I was
released,
alive, yeah.
Thank goodness. Yeah.
3 years old when this came out. So, yeah.
Oh, good Lord. Well, actually, I don't know if you came across this, but my understanding is that the rating system we have here in Ireland was altered.
Yeah.
What if ratings? I mean, like the age limits for movies and all this.
Yeah.
If I remember right, this was rated 15A when it came out, which meant it's similar to like the R rating in the USA for anyone looking for that. Essentially, if you were under 15, if you had a parent or guardian with them, anyone could go see this. And as a result of this film, they brought in the 16 certificate, which seems a little like, I find it weird that there's a 16 and then there's an 18.
Yeah.
But yeah, they brought it in because of this. And I do remember there was a phone-in show around the time, and I remember listening to it, and this one rang up. She'd obviously taken her fucking kids to it. Like, I mean, look, it's called Bad Santa.
Yeah.
And how could you fucking miss like what it's about? But she said, I went in with me young fella, and like, it's grand, like at the start, like there's a little snowman running around, and she thought that was funny, but then all this other stuff. And then when I was rewatching it for this, like before that happens, there's your man, he pisses himself, he goes, thank the fuck Christ, and all that. And I'm like, when it took the fucking everything else for you to realise
He
that.
has the opening monologue and all where he's cursing and all.
I know, yeah.
Yeah,
There's a lot of interesting stuff actually going on, even with the opening in terms of the different versions and all this. But I was like, how can you be under any impression? It opens in a bar and he's a miserable cunt at the bar, and then he goes out into an alleyway and pukes up his ring up. And I imagine she was a little uncomfortable at that part, and then by the time got to whatever, she obviously marched out of there with but she thought well enough. I don't know. I mean, it's I wouldn't wish that job on anyone being the film certifier or whatever.
Certifier, yeah.
I don't know if they actually stopped calling them. I think that's still called the Censor's Office here in Ireland.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I know they changed it in the UK. It used to be the British Film Censor's Office, and then they changed it to certification.
Right, yeah.
Because they're not censors, you know.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They just ban things occasionally.
Yeah.
But I think it's still called the Film Censor. I don't fucking pay any attention. I remember occasionally I go to the cinema then and it'd be like 18s. That actually did become quite rare around the time this was out.
Yeah.
And of all the films I remember, did you ever see This Is England?
No, I haven't seen
that film was rated 18s in the cinema when that was really out there. And I think it's because there was a disturbing scene of violence in it, whereas like, what was that? Land of the Dead, which is all these headshots, and it was, I think that was fucking 15As when it came out. I don't think it was 16s. Got very laissez-faire there around that time. I grew up in the 90s when there was a lot of censorship and like things being cut out and all this. So this film is quite raunchy, as you said.
To say the least, yeah.
So what was your first exposure to it? When did you first see it?
I can't remember exactly what age it would have been, but it would have been, you know, I want to say it might have been around the age of like 9 or 10, because I remember, which is perfect age to start watching movies like this. But I do just remember around that age, I started watching like The Hangover. I think like Hangover was my first like raunchy comedy that I watched when I was younger. And then around that time, I just would have started watching other kind of raunchy comedies, and I came around to this one, which I think might have been suggested by a friend or something. But I thought it was hilarious when I was younger. And then I hadn't watched it in years until preparing for this podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually hadn't seen it in a while. I remember really liking it in the cinema. And it's funny you mentioned The Hangover, because do you know the history of some of the reshoots on this?
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
So maybe before we get into like just the nuts and bolts of the film, so there's actually 3 versions of this film, which caused me a lot of fucking heartache in the build up to this, because I wanted to see all of them. There's a theatrical version that I would have seen in the cinema, say, that seems to be kind of hard to track down nowadays. There's this Bad Santa cut,
unrated one,
which for some reason I got the US DVD of this. I would have had to import it like 20 odd years ago or whatever. I obviously felt the need to. I was like, oh, more raunchier stuff. Wow. And then there's a director's cut, which I was under the impression was the Bad Santa cut, but isn't.
Okay.
And it's actually quite a different film. It's very interesting. I was under the impression I had seen it, because so if we can kind of start in on the film. The opening scene is him in a bar, and it's like this picturesque Christmas time bar, like, you know, it's all the Christmas colors like green and red, and there's all these I think, knowing Zwigoff, the director's sensibility, I think this is on purpose. There are all these very white, waspy kind of types in like Christmas class sweaters, and having a great old time. And then Billy Bob's Santa Claus is down the other end of the bar looking absolutely miserable. In the theatrical and the Bad Santa cuts, which are the cuts people are more familiar with, there's a voiceover there.
Voiceover, like, remember that.
Oh, this is fucking miserable, and I've never done that, and sucks more ass, and this, and it is, I think it, so that is not in the director's cut, basically. And I had some imagining that I had seen that. I must have seen it. I just have it very vividly in my head, but then when I watched all of it, I was like, no, I don't think I did. But I must have seen something of that scene, because it does play very differently. It's just him looking at them with disdain. And Terry Zwigoff on the commentary for the director's cut says he is very disdainful of what he would call your target shoppers, like your, what, you know,
the consumers,
well, what we would call like a stereotypical American. He is like, oh, I guess these fucking people need things spelled out for them, that it's a comedy. And I find it fascinating. The film is, in that version, in the theatrical version and the Badder, it is kind of like a, hey, he's a bad Santa, he's fucking this. And I think he gave it like the edge, which makes it a superior kind of a raunchy, edgy comedy. But if without that, it's not that at all. It's just a miserable fucker sitting in a bar looking at people. But with that, it does become more mainstream. It becomes like the door is open for you. Like he says they laugh a bit earlier when that happens, and you're all like, oh yeah, I get it. This is a comedy. Whereas he just seemed to want to make a very observational, not a drama. He wanted to make a comedy, but it is a fascinating thing. Like just these tiny little changes that make a. Because while we're on the topic, like there's a bit at the end, the very ending of it. Spoiler alert. When he's going from the shopping mall to the kid's house.
His house,
In the theatrical and Bad Santa cut, there's just a 2-second moment where he goes, fuck it, the kid's getting his present.
Yeah, I remember that scene,
and it completely, without that, it's not that you miss it, but it becomes a very different scene. Like he has a goal in the
you know why he's going.
The original cut, I'll call it. And in the director's cut, he's you know where he's going, but like he's going for a reason in the other one. And it is just, I think they're both quite good. I actually I'm like, oh yeah, he's kind of turned the corner, but it is a bit like, hey dummy, he's turned the corner. Whereas in the Zwigoff cut, it's a little less hold in your hand, let's say. And I do find that like it's such a tiny moment, because I bet if he had said to like, you know, your average Joe Blow on the street, they spent $10,000 filming one sentence of it, probably a bit less than that. But like, what a fucking waste of money. But it makes such a big difference, those tiny little moments, which I found very fascinating. You didn't see the director's cut. It is very difficult to track down in Ireland. Anyway,
I think it would have been the Badder cut, because I do remember like that scene with the voiceover at the start, and then the bit at the end with him saying like, oh, I'm gonna, you know, fuck it, the kid's getting his presents. I do remember them scenes.
That is. Zwigoff apparently did supervise the theatrical cut, which I think speaks well of him. Not to say he's a very anti-corporate guy. Not to say he fucking capitulated to the corporate thing. But what I mean is, he obviously can do that kind of a thing because it's so different. Like a lot of the scenes, but the cut most people are familiar with, whether it's the original or the Bad Santa, it is like a studio comedy with great extra bits in it, like great added kind of elements to it.
Yeah.
Whereas his cut is more of like that Ghost World film that he did, if you ever saw that.
No, I haven't watched that one, no.
I was reading up on it. Apparently that was like kind of a flop, but I must have watched it millions of times, and I remember a friend of mine in school saw it and we talk about it quite a bit. So to me it was kind of a big film, but apparently it was a bit of a disappointment, like box office. But I thought it had quite a big kind of cultural impact. Yeah. And that is more of an observational, like, I remember me and my friend thinking, we're not supposed to like these main characters. They're kind of supposed to be obnoxious idiots. And then I'd read reviews talking about how much they liked them. And I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Whereas in the theatrical cut, it's like, hey, isn't this guy crazy? Whereas in his cut, it's a little more,
more restrained,
Yeah, it's, there's still a lot of great stuff in it. Like, it is still very, very funny, his cut. It's not actually as different as I would have maybe thought from some of the stuff I heard. But it is a different thing. We'll get into... Actually, there's the scene in the bar, then there's basically just them. They have a nice little racket going, so he pretends to be the Santa, and I think Billy Bob Thornton's great, but I just want to make sure I get his name right. Hang on here,
well, actually,
go on.
I'll introduce this thing after you.
No, Tony Cox.
Tony Cox,
who was in Me, Myself, and Irene as well, and it was his casting was quite controversial, apparently. So the Coen brothers
for this film,
who were very involved in it, apparently were like, no, absolutely not, no. Which I find now
it's crazy.
They didn't quite write the script, but they came up with it. So they just obviously had something like, it should be this guy. When he is laying in to fucking Billy Bob Thornton,
it's brilliant.
Some of the stuff he says, like he goes. There's one bit where, and I'd say it, in my head I say it nearly every day, it was like, you are just too pathetic for words, you fucking loser. And just the way, like the rhythm of his voice, like he's like, everything about you is ugly. Your soul is dog shit. And that is in all the versions. And it is, I seriously like just nod up. I'd be watching on the sofa and I'd be in knots, like laughing.
He's brilliant.
And he plays it so fucking straight. He's brilliant.
But in terms of what you're mentioning about how the film kind of came about with the Coen brothers, that was something I had no idea about before I started researching for the film. Yeah,
I had some notion they were involved, but I didn't know quite how much. And I came up with some stuff that I was like, Jesus Christ, like this. Now, I maybe before we get into all that, so Terry Zwigoff is a very interesting character. He doesn't seem to have directed anything since his follow-up to this, Art School Confidential, which I haven't seen.
No, I don't really know much of his films or him as a director outside this film.
He did kind of an hour-long documentary called Louie Bluey, which I haven't seen, but I did see a documentary called Crumb that was quite good, and I saw Ghost World, and I saw this, and I haven't seen Art School Confidential. So he'd be... As much as I just said, Tony Cox is like, I think absolutely the funniest bit of it. Obviously, Billy Bob Thornton is a huge part of this. Now, okay, 3 things one has to keep in mind about Billy Bob Thornton. Very, very talented actor. Which this next part we'll come back to. Apparently, sometimes not the nicest guy in the world. And third, a man who had copious amounts of sex with a 20-something Angelina Jolie, for which I will never be able to forget. Don't ask me why. It's hard for me to get over that. Now, when I say he's not a hugely nice guy, apparently some of the people on this swear by him, think he was great. The kid, Brett Kelly, apparently said he was so lovely and he's nice. I've no idea what he's like, but I will say I don't even know if this is on YouTube anymore. It must be. There was a podcaster in Canada who was interviewing Billy Bob Thornton and his music group. Okay, and this was a famous clip at the time. Now, the guy who was doing the podcast was later revealed as a bit of a sex pest. So I can't remember his fucking name. But he was interviewed, and in the opening kind of thing, he just goes, you may recognize one of these guys as Billy Bob Thornton, the actor, but he's here as part of his music. And, he's obviously the most famous guy in the band. So he kept asking him questions. And Billy Bob Thornton would go, so Billy Bob, when did you get into music? And he goes, Yeah, when I was younger, I used to read this magazine, and it was called Monsters of Hollywood. And he would just start talking about this magazine. And eventually, the guy goes, "Billy Bob, what are you doing? Like, well, what's wrong?" And he eventually goes like, "What the fuck? You were told not to talk about that shit, like that I'm a movie guy or whatever." Yeah. And the guy had just said, and the guy did say, "Don't you think it'd be weird if a fucking Hollywood actor is sitting here and I don't mention it? Like, come on, man."
Yeah.
And eventually he did kind of come around, but it was very, very antagonistic. And you did get an insight. And he said something, Billy Bob, like, you wouldn't say that to like some famous musician. And you're like, maybe don't compare yourself to kind of big famous musicians. And he was very, very antagonistic. Now, that may still be on YouTube somewhere. The other thing, and I swear on my life I saw this at some point and I could not fucking find it, but I swear I saw this. As far as I know, it was a video interview with Terry Zwigoff where they were asking him about Billy Bob Thornton. It seems to be scrubbed from YouTube, but I swear I saw this.
Yeah.
And he said, I had a really bad time with him. And he said, after I finished filming, I got a phone call from quite a well-known director. Now, this is me. He did say something like a well-known director.
Yeah.
My understanding, my guess would be that it was Sam Raimi, because he said it was a big director, and Sam Raimi directed it in A Simple Plan. Yeah. And I kind of doubt Michael Bay was calling up Terry Zwigoff about fucking Armageddon or whatever. And he said, "Let me guess, day 12, right? Day 12. And what he meant was, let me guess, by the time you'd filmed for 12 days and you couldn't replace him, like there is a lot of like this kind of inside baseball kind of thing of movies.
Yeah.
The guy said, let me guess, by day 12, he just started fucking with you, right? And he said, for 12 days it was great. And then as soon as he knew he couldn't be fired because it cost too much, he started being a real dick to him.
Wow.
And I couldn't find that clip, but I have heard references to him that are in print where he's like, it was difficult for me to work with him. I hope now he realizes I did bring something to the table. But Billy Bob Thornton just seems to have been having a great time on it. Like he apparently said, I'd go back and live that time again.
I remember reading that.
But apparently he made poor... Now, who the fuck knows? Maybe Terry Zwigoff. He seems like someone who, maybe wouldn't make your life too easy if he disagreed with you on something. I don't know. I do have a natural kind of affinity for directors, I suppose. But I just for what it's worth, I thought I'd bring it up because
no idea.
You wouldn't notice, but then sometimes like actors just look out for themselves. For example, I won't go into it, but I know a guy who works on movies, and he worked with an actor that everyone listening to this would know.
Okay.
And he said it was so difficult working with him. He's such a fucking egomaniac. And it was apparently very difficult to read reviews because people are like, the movie isn't great, but he's great in it. And he's, all he gave a shit about was himself. So, of course, he fucking came off okay. The sacrifice of everything else. Yeah. That didn't happen in this film. Okay. But I just thought I'd kind of if anyone can fucking find that clip, because it was tormenting me looking
for it. Put it in
the
comments,
and I was like, did I fucking imagine that? But it's so clear in my head.
Yeah. And
he did have a bad time with him. You can kind of see that on the thing. Anyway, we'll crack on to the fucking movie because that was a very long preamble. So the opening scene, and we're introduced to, I did like the scene of him because that's shot in the laneway. It is a postcard for Christmas. Yeah. But it's him in a Santa outfit, like just puking his ring up, which was a nice
introduction. We get our title card and all,
Yeah, the title card, and the music is very good. It's like it's
Chopin,
famous, a famous classical one. Yeah. I actually think the heist that they do, now is it realistic? No, but it's very plausible, I think. So basically they set up, because they have an inside line to the shopping malls, as the Santa and the elf. Try not to use any politic language here.
Words,
that they get in, and he's it's often said in the literature or whatever that he's the Tony Cox is his sidekick, but actually Tony Cox is the mastermind.
Yeah, he's the mastermind.
He's the fucking guy who's keeping all this together. And Billy Bob Thornton is like the fucking gobshite who just cracks the safe. Yeah. I think there's a great moment, and this is why I love Tony Cox in it. He's such a great performance where they're doing the thing, like Billy Bob puts no effort into being Santa. Like, no he's just like, what do you want? Yeah, get the fuck out of here. And there's a great bit where like they take this quite realistically shitty photo, that they take at the Santa Grottos. And Tony Cox looks at it and he goes like, oh my, what a lovely photograph. Are you sure you only want one? Yeah. And he is so he's so plausibly believable as someone who's doing it. He's not making a joke of like, I'm pretending to be nice.
Yeah.
He's like,
he's trying.
He's putting the face on. Like he's such a professional. About it, like he takes it seriously. And then he's fucking carrying Billy Bob, who's just like literally pissing himself. Like he goes, Jesus Christ, you pissed yourself. The way he says it, fucking great. Yeah. So then, they do the thing that is what I mean. Is it realistic? So the alarms in all these malls apparently have a 30 second, which is fair. It's plausible enough. That's grand. They switch that off and then they break into the safes. And apparently the safes in these big shopping malls have huge amounts of money in them. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
Now, in the director's cut, it just cuts from them finishing the heist to like months later, and he wakes up Billy Bob in like, you know, the scene where he wakes up and he's throwing the beer bottle. He's like, fuck you.
In Miami,
It just cuts straight to that. Whereas I did miss the scenes where they're in the bar celebrating.
That was in my version that I watched. Yeah, we're in the bar celebrating, they talk.
I like that, as far as I know, is a reshoot. And there are some kind of, you know, jokes. I thought it was a nice scene, and you see a different side of him.
You see them actually kind of bond, because like that's like, obviously we'll get into like the rest of the film where they're kind of struggling the relationship with Willie's alcoholism. But I like that scene because it kind of sets them up where they're embracing, they're celebrating, they do shots together, and then like they kind of, it's a bit of a gag then as well, where like Willie is saying to him like, oh, I'm gonna turn a corner, I'm gonna like you know, all this money now, I'm gonna go down to Miami, I'm gonna buy a bar, and I'm gonna work the bar, all this sort of stuff. And then like, you know, he's like, oh, I'm off the wagon, and you cut to like he's in Miami and he's working at a bar. And then,
or so you think,
or so you think, and then the real bartender comes up and goes, "Hey, get the fuck out of here!"
Yeah, that was and again, I really liked the scene in the bar. I actually did miss that now. Now, for all I know, that was something Terry Zwigoff shot, but I'm not sure, because there is, like, as you say, like a more obvious joke in the film. He goes, maybe I'll do this and maybe I'll do this, and then the next scene is like, no, he didn't do it. But I do like the way that they, and again, Tony Coll's like, you ain't gonna do nothing but go down there and drink your fucking ass off. And he's like, if I call you next year. And I was like, yeah, but you saw the other side of them where they're celebrating, because like they just did something amazing, and you know, they're all great. And I do like the scene where he like, the guy's like, put that drink down, and he's like but that to me is a real, I was listening to another podcast for some of the kind of research on this, and it's called What Went Wrong, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think I've heard of that one. Yeah.
Quite good. I did like it now. I'd never heard it before, but they were kind of saying like, and I'm assuming it was Todd Phillips who directed that, you know, the Hangover guy, Road Trip. Yeah. And they were called, well, he's the mainstream guy. And I had to say, I don't think that's quite fair. Todd Phillips is someone whose movies happen to be popular. Yeah. But if you watch his movies, like maybe Road Trip doesn't quite fit, but like the Hangover movies,
really was, like, especially obviously the second and third one I disliked.
Well, the second one is one of the darkest films I've ever seen. You are like, that he obviously always kind of fancied himself as like an auteur, like, but he does not. His characters are fucking arseholes. Now the joke in his movies are, hey, look at these fucking assholes, and like they say outrageous things, and they use the slur word for gay people quite often, which shows up in this film in a scene that he directed later on. Maybe there's no coincidence there. But that scene of him like gulping that is like a kind of a Todd Phillips kind of, I think it fits in well enough.
Fits the character.
But it is kind of like this outrageous thing of like, I'm just not going to listen to him, I'm just not going to listen. Whereas a lot of the other humor just comes from like the realism of being like what an alcoholic would behave like. Whereas that's more of a kind of an like the comedy of obnoxiousness, which he's good at. Geez, I am not a huge fan of the Hangover movies. I did like Road Trip and Old School. But he does have geez, I can't remember. I forget which film it was. I think it was The Hangover. And like some film critic said he knows someone who's friends with him, and the film critic said, but the film's so misanthropic, like, what the fuck? Like, does he just hate people? And the guy was apparently like, yeah, that's just kind of him. Like, he just thinks everyone's a fucking idiot. And that is not a mainstream. Like, his movies do not have these great redemption arcs or anything. No, like, he's maybe a little, he plays to a mainstream audience better than Zwigoff maybe. But I think it's unfair to call him like a multiplex director. Like, someone...
He's like a hire, like director for hire.
Yeah, sort like of thing, you wouldn't mistake him for like a Hollywood, like a complete hack or anything. Who like the guys who direct movies that you just don't even know who like the guys who direct like the fucking Adam Sandler things. Like if I heard the names, I might be like, oh yeah. But they're not like for better or ill, Todd Phillips has his own sensibility.
He has a signature style. Like,
he does,
sort of,
and again, you can kind of see it if you know where to look for it.
Yeah.
And so then there is a lot of nice kind of anti-Christmas imagery in it. So I did like how they're introduced. Yeah, it's the same in both versions. And he calls him up and he goes, we're back on, it's that time of year. Phoenix, which is like this desert kind of state. Or is it Arizona? Sorry.
Arizona, yeah.
Phoenix is like the city in Arizona, is it? Or it must be,
something like city, yeah.
So the opening shot is them in like the desert, eating like there's even like heat waves lines, but he's in the Santa outfit. But they have, I think it's some very famous Christmas song playing over that.
Yeah.
And that is I remember seeing it in the cinema. It was released here at Christmas time, and really that being like not quite shocking, but being like, whoa, they're really interesting. They're really anti that imagery,
going different,
which I found and for the film, of course, it's kind of perfect. Yeah, it is some really nice slow Christmas song, and then the punchline is he just fucks the nagging out of the car.
Yeah.
And I love Tony Cox. He's just like, Jesus Christ! Like he just can't believe his bad luck.
No.
I am stuck with this fucking guy.
Yeah.
And then we're introduced to, I think, another very fun. Did you know who John Ritter was?
No, I did see. Obviously, this was his last film that he'd only passed away. Was it after the film or was it during?
Yeah, it was. I'll come back to that actually later because I was surprised at how late after because it was like 14 months between when the film finished and when it was released.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I thought they had done some kind of trying to hide the fact that I thought he had died before they finished filming with some of the stuff I'll talk about later.
Yeah.
Had you seen him in anything else before? Or?
I don't think. What else was he in?
That's what I was kind of struggling. I fucking forgot to kind of research it. I knew him well from something. I think he was on a famous TV show that would show up quite often.
Yeah.
But do you know what I fucking know him from? He was in Problem Child. I want to say he was in that, which was a movie I remember seeing in the cinema. I think I knew him from that, which wouldn't be something I would imagine would stand up. I saw that in the fucking cinema. My god! But I just thought he was brilliant in this, and we first see him and that other Santa guy's like reaming him out of it. It's like, oh, you fucking it.
Yeah.
And the way he is just like,
he's so like anxious.
He's so anxious. Yeah, he's brilliant. And did you come across the theme of fear of impotence? Was that something that came up in your research? It is.
No, actually didn't.
It was something I came across because Willie is going around riding all these people, but he gets very offended when he goes, oh, please don't let that, because the other Santa was like, oh, you hacks.
Yeah.
And John Ritter just is like, oh, please don't let that affect your performance. And Willie, of course, like, my performance.
Yeah.
And
you mean sexual?
My fuck stick. And because it is kind of a non sequitur. Like, it is just like, well, why is he so uptight about that? But I will say, for a guy who drinks as much fucking booze, he doesn't seem to have a
never has a problem.
Doesn't seem to be a problem with it. And he's doing it in all sorts of awkward places with every meaning that might go along with that.
Absolutely.
Did we? Sorry, I'm going to wave we did hit record on that, didn't we? Yeah, because it's going along. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Seamus in the future. Just remember, I got paranoid there for a second. He's very, very good in it. And then I think quite soon after that, we're introduced to the security chief, played by Bernie Mac.
Yeah, I think what leads to it's like, because of all the comments like the fuck stick and all that John Ritter's character Bob goes to Bernie Mac's character Jin, who's the head of security. So I think in this scene you already see him like he's eating oranges. There's like this gag with his character throughout the film. Yeah,
he's meant to be constipated or something like that. And he is. So there's like 3 scenes in his office where the two of them are going back and forth. This is why I thought there was some, I won't call it shenanigans because you have to deal with these things as they happen. I thought he hadn't quite finished filming John Ritter. So they had because he does just kind of disappear from the film later on, So there are scenes, especially the final scene in that guy's office. There are shots of him from other scenes reacting because they're going for a more staccato rhythm of it. But apparently no, because I listened to the commentary and they just said, I wanted that editing style, and because of that, I needed scenes from other. So I needed shots from other scenes, so it basically just kind of seemed that way, which is kind of ironic. Now Bernie Mac, I never quite got. He has a scene in the first Transformers film. If anyone's not watching the video, Kieran just reacted very favorably. I'm about to say I never understood the humor of that scene whatsoever.
Yeah, I grew, that's just something I would have grown up with. I remember in that cinema and watching it.
I do not get what he was going for in that scene. He's only in it for like that one scene, if I recall.
This is that one scene, yeah. He's a car salesman.
And I don't know a lot of his other stuff. I know he was quite famous in the US because he had a TV show.
Yeah.
I thought he was better in the Ocean's films, but again, there was one or two scenes in it, so I was like, "What is the gag here?" Yeah. But he's very, very funny in this.
Yeah,
I think
very funny. Because he plays very straight. Obviously, in the Transformers, he's like doing the whole accent and all that and everything. But with this, he's playing it very straight and very kind of like serious, and all. It makes the comedy a little bit more.
Yeah, he does have the one scene where that is kind of more typical humor, and it was a Terry Zwigoff scene, where he's getting his pedicure done. And he's kind of like, "What are you doing, woman? Come on now, use that good stuff. That's the good stuff right there." And I wonder now if some of that was kind of a improv or whatever. But that is a Zwigoff scene. It's not like an added one.
Okay.
That's more. But I just think he's very funny in this. Maybe if I'd seen more of his stuff, he'd be more kind of to my taste. But
obviously I know his name, but I can't think off the top of my head any big films. I'd like love him.
I think he had a show just in the US called the Bernie Mac Show that was never shown over here. I don't know, but he was very, very good in it. And him and John Ritter, we should maybe mention, both passed away very young.
Very young, yeah.
John Ritter very soon after this, and Bernie Mac in 2008, I want to say. Something like that.
It wasn't his last film, was it?
No, he had a few after. He must have made, I think one of the Ocean's films was after this.
And
Transformers 13 was after this. Transformers, yeah. Actually, that might have been probably not his last one, but that would have been.
Yeah, it was 2007 actually.
Yeah. I'm not a Transformers guy. Sorry,
no, that's okay.
The animated movie, love it.
Yeah,
I've mentioned my love of that before.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
So yeah, we're introduced to Bernie Mac's character, and then he's talking with Bob about Willie and Marcus, and then it's kind of just there's a bit of humor in that scene. I think isn't after that we go back to Willie he's in the bar, and that's where he meets Lauren Graham's character. Yeah,
I think we're introduced to the kid before that though, because do you remember the kid showed up? The kid, and apparently he really had to fight for him, Terry Zwigoff.
Yeah,
it is a stroke of genius having that kid in the film.
It is. They wanted like a Disney kid or something.
Yeah, or apparently the kid from 2.5 Men was mooted as well.
Okay, yeah.
It was a stroke of genius hiring this kid.
Brilliant,
he is so fucking weird. Yeah. But so believably, like even just, he has this kind of blank stare.
Yeah.
And just like, apparently like his clothes, because he wears this like t-shirt and shorts and like fucking sandals, and you're just like, oh, you poor bastard. Jesus Christ. And he has a huge snot thing under his nose and all this when you first meet him. And he just looks like a real kid. Like even the way he moves is really awkward. And these skateboard kids are like fucking going at him.
Yeah.
On that podcast they mentioned how they're very California, the teens, not Phoenix. So that would go over my head, but for what it's worth.
For us Irish.
Yeah, they're these skateboard. Like they're all sure. I was like, oh yeah, I guess Billy Bob Thornton does have a southern accent. Interesting.
Yeah.
Apparently, the dialogue was written for James Gandolfini.
Yeah, they wanted him because the Coen Brothers wanted them because they done The Man Who Wasn't There.
Yeah, which Billy Bob Thornton was also in. Although I don't know that he was much of it. Apparently, he was like the last person they ever went to, and he seemed so obvious. Choice for it,
I was reading up about like who they wanted, and there was loads of like big name actors they wanted for the role. Like, I think John C. Reilly auditioned for it. And then Will Ferrell turned it down. I think he would have done Elf. That came out the same year.
Yeah, it came out at the same time.
And then I think
Bill Murray apparently was quite close to doing it, which would have been interesting. Again, that might have, I don't know, would he have done stuff like pissing himself and all that though, Bill Murray? It's not, I'm not saying that he'd be protecting his image or anything, but I just find that would have been great, like if he went that far with it. But I don't know, apparently he can be a little difficult to work with as well, apparently, if you're not Wes Anderson, I'd imagine. So
obviously when done Scrooge a couple of weeks, him and Richard Donner went to
oh really?
Yeah, they didn't get along at all.
They weren't pals. No.
Well, actually, I read Jack Nicholson as well. Actually, wanted to do the film.
Yes, I heard that one. Yeah,
he was doing Something's Gotta Give instead.
Yes. Which
I don't know if it was a rom-com,
which hasn't lived in the public memory as well as fucking. Was that Meryl Streep or was that Diane Keaton?
I think it was Diane Keaton.
Or both of them in it.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Diane Keaton.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jesus, real bummer there. Whoever cast this kid. And the kid himself, genius. And it was really creepy. I didn't watch, I think I got 5 minutes into Bad Santa 2.
Oh,
and I was like, get this fucking shit off.
Yeah, no, I can't remember if I watched the full film or if I only watched half of it. I do remember when it came out and I watched a bit of it. I can only just remember the start of the film where it's like it pretty much undoes everything that this film does, and then introduces the kid again and the man played by Kathy Bates, and then that's pretty much all I remember. So I don't know if I either forget the film or just didn't finish it.
There just comes it's not as Keith says, an here lads moment, but sometimes when I'm watching films and I just get this sinking feeling, I'm like, oh god, it's not even like professionally well made. Like I was watching Mel Gibson, 50 Cent, and like someone else. I saw this, like it was a thumbnail on Amazon, and it was like police detective investigates a murder, and I was like, all right, yeah. Leaving aside all the politics, I'm like, I'd watch that.
Yeah.
And then I watched it, and I was like, oh my god! Like, there's meant to be a press, the 50 Cent is playing like the police commissioner, and he's doing like a press conference, and it was so amateurish. Like the acting was terrible. 50 Cent can act. Like I was like, in theory, he could do this really well. And it was like there was dead air and the lighting looked like a fucking wedding video. And that was the feeling I got with Bad Santa too. And I was like, life is too short. I'm not
you saved yourself
like that. You can't even have a basic level of competence in the technical. Like, because it was 2016, like it was shot on fucking digital. This film, Bad Santa, was shot on film. It was right at the cusp of, I'd say, even maybe 3 years later, this had probably been a HD movie. Like they were shot it on like HD cam or something like that. Apparently the director's cut was finished on HD cam, which is, sorry, you're probably even too young to know what that was.
No, definitely,
it was like what Star Wars prequels were shot on. It was like it was like a VHS tape, except it recorded 1080p fucking way, and if you knew what you were doing, it looked okay. But this was shot on film, and it looks great. Like if you ever have you ever seen fucking like, it is so bad, it's becoming popular now on my YouTube algorithm. Like, why do movies today look so terrible? Did you ever see that movie The Disaster Artist with James Franco?
I watched that.
They do this comparison of like the scenes that they imitated with the originals. The fucking original was better lit. Like The Room was better lit than a professional Hollywood film. And you're like, what happened to this shit? Like, because I don't know, you think it'd get better, but it just becomes fucking
the shortcuts or whatever.
This film looks great. Like, it's again shot on film, real craftsman, very very good. So we're introduced to the kid, and I think he's so unimpressed with him. Like when Billy Bob just like, what? Get the fuck out of here. I think he uses a very impolitic term to refer to mentally disabled people to get him out of apparently in the first script there was a lot more of those jokes, and the Coen brothers took them out, and the guys who wrote it were like, we're kind of glad of that. That was totally fine at the time. Like why it would have gotten away with that. People, I think it was around this time Jennifer Aniston got in trouble for saying, look, I'll just say the word. She said the word retard on a talk show, and that caused some controversy. And I think people kind of stopped saying it. I remember watching an interview with Christina Ricci in the 90s where she just said the word all the time. Like she was like, people were looking at me like I won't keep repeating it. And she was, I look like such a, it was just okay. It was
even when I was growing up, I meant like the word would be thrown around, and even the word faggot as well would be used like very normally. Like I grew up of a certain generation. That word shows up in the theatrical and the Bad Santa cut. That is not in the Zwigoff cut, which I don't know if he'd be above that kind of thing, but it's not in it's not in his cut. No. So then we get to the next kind of, there is the film doesn't ever drag, but there is a lot of mall something else. The scenes of him and the kids are always, he's just like, what do you want? Get the fuck out of here. Like, it's like one of them says, oh, I want a bike. He's like, oh yeah, really? Yeah. Very original or something.
Actually all the casting of the kids are great. Because remember the kid who's like, you're not really Santa, and he's like, oh yeah. He's like, get the fuck out of here. Like, all the kids have these great faces of like, that kid looks annoying, that kid looks like a space cadet, that kid looks really really good. So we get to the scene in the bar, and there is that very funny bit of he notices that guy staring at him. I haven't seen that guy in much else, but he was in Office Space and he was quite funny in that. And he's really funny in this. Like he's like the way he's stirring the thing, and he's like looking at him, and he's like, what the fuck?
What?
Now, I had heard, before I watched the director's cut, I had heard in the director's cut Lauren Graham's character, who's from the Gilmore Girls, a show I've never seen.
No, me neither.
It's apparently quite big. I had heard, her character is really improved and it's a lot better. It is not substantially better in the director's cut.
She's not even named in the film.
Yeah,
I believe her name is Sue, like, which is found like online and in the script, but like her name is never said in any version. Like,
it's not. It is in now. I will say there is a slight difference. I would say in the theatrical cut, it is a bit like, look at this crazy bitch, look at this. In the Terry Zwigoff cut, it's not as much like that, but it is not night and day either. I had heard it was, and she is just like,
it's just
attractive woman who wants to bang this guy. Now, having said that, he was with Angelina Jolie. He must have something going on. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'd never in neither version I didn't find her. It didn't bother me or anything, but I don't find it particularly convincing.
No, there's not much depth there. Like, you know.
No, it is a little. There is a little less depth in the original cuts, but it is not a rediscovered masterpiece of a performance. She's totally fine in it.
Yeah.
Apparently, so I remember a friend of mine. He was like, "Have you seen Bad Santa? Oh, fuck me Santa, fuck me Santa." And I was like, "Yeah," and it just was not a standout scene for me. I know it's kind of like, oh, it's subversive and all this. Never. And apparently she had to do that in the audition, on a chair in a room full of presumably men. And I was like, that seems a little unnecessary. What the fuck? I don't know. That seems a little weird.
Yeah.
It is funny, but it wasn't
a laugh out loud
moment.
It
wasn't a laugh out loud moment. Now, it was a laugh out loud moment. So she fucks off, and then our boy shows.
the fella from the bar shows up.
Yeah. Now everything Billy Bob and this guy say is drop dead funny. Now, what is your take on the guy? What do you think is happening? Why is he doing what he's doing? Because there's two things I think kind of that are there, and maybe it's both of them, or maybe it's just one. What do you think is up with this guy?
There's a lot of stuff that he says that we can't repeat, but in terms of like what's going on, I feel like he does say like, "Oh, I'm not gay." So I do think that that's my reading of the scene. That like obviously earlier when they're in the bar and he's staring at Billy Bob, he must think that like, oh, there's something going on here, but then like he's rejecting them thoughts or desires, and so that's why he's like he's gonna fight him, being like, oh, I'm not gay, I don't like you. That's my reading.
I go because there's two, and they kind of address both of them, but he goes, are you off your fucking meds? And he goes, yes, but that's not what this is about. And so you're like, okay, he's a lunatic. But I also wondered, was he raped by a Santa Claus when he was younger? I kind of got this thing of like, now I'll fuck you. You can't control me. I actually hadn't really considered, is he just a deeply, deeply closeted gay man? But he was definitely seemed, and maybe it's all an amalgamation of it, but I was like, what is wrong with this guy? But he was like, and the guy is like, I don't actually know his ethnicity. I maybe should have looked it up, but he looks like maybe Indian or something like that. And Billy Bob was like, my brother lost a fucking arm fighting fuckers in Vietnam. And that is in all I was like, maybe that's a Todd Phillips joke. That is in all the versions of him. He's so fucking ignorant, he doesn't even know what he's about. So he's about to, as far as I can tell, he's about to anally rape Billy Bob Thornton. And then the kid comes up, but he goes like,
leave Santa alone.
But he goes like, go away, child, I'm doing this for all of us. And you're like, what? What the fuck? And then
it's great. It's such a random scene as well. He doesn't pop up the rest of the film.
I know, it's out of fucking nowhere for no reason. Now they need some reason for the kid to be in them, but like how they thought of that, and then I love when he just kind of walks out, he's like, ass clown, and then he just walks off into the fucking distance, like, what the fuck? Oh Jesus! Whoever, I can't remember. I should have written down his fucking name. Whoever that guy was.
Great,
he knocked it. That was, I think, like, and again, when my mate was like, "Oh, fuck me, Santa," I was like, that's
the funny part of the whole sequence.
That is funny shit. Like, my God.
And actually, even I read up as well that obviously with this scene taking place in the kind of parking lot, is I believe this, like the scenes in the parking lot and this scene like later on are actually filmed in the same area, like the same parking lot where Jackie Brown.
Oh yes, I did hear that. I think the same mall basically. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, because they did just film it in LA. Apparently, yeah, interesting. It's I guess I did. I was watching something the other day, and I remember thinking, I think that's the same thing. I remember it was something fucking random, and I was like, I think I saw that in One Battle After Another. That thing, and I guess if you're filming in LA. it is just like, oh, we need something. Yeah, we'll film it from a different angle or whatever. Yeah. That you wouldn't have known, I would say. But yeah. What did that mean? Like, I'm doing this for all of us. Brilliant.
Yeah.
So then, again, the kid is so uncanny, like the way he's looking at him, and
he keeps calling him Santa.
It's such a good performance. I was like, the kid has to actually be like that. Like, he must be like that. I don't know if he was or not. No one actually ever seemed to say, but maybe he's just a great actor.
I think he might have been a great actor because I actually have seen him in something else,
right?
Which would be such a surprise. It's such a random thing that I watched. But before I would have watched this, a film that I loved that I would have grown up on was The Sandlot 2. Believe it or not.
2.
Sandlot 2.
They did a sequel.
I
did like the first one now when I was younger. Yeah.
But believe it, I watched The Sandlot 2 before I ever watched The Sandlot 1. It's such a weird thing from my childhood. Like, my childhood was full of like watching weird like films that are like are not popular or like really disliked. Like, I would have loved like Batman and Robin and Superman 4, all that sort of stuff.
Well,
that's what I was into. But The Sandlot 2, I would have watched him, and he was in that film as well. He kind of plays like a different character.
Really?
He kind of plays like. It's like The Sandlot 2 is basically just The Sandlot 1 again, except it's in like the early 70s rather than the early 60s.
Okay, so they are different characters.
But they still have the same archetypes. And like the kid, like Brett Kelly, like his character in The Sandlot 2 was more of like a... He's not like the way he is in this film. Like, I think it's like he loves like the army and all that sort of stuff in the thing. And he's very kind of like a bit more macho, I'd say, a bit more macho and aggressive. Like, because obviously it's baseball, so he's like... always mad for playing baseball in that film. So he is
fair play to him. Then he's just I just assumed that's what he was like. He just seemed that way. Like he seemed like a real kid. He was 8, which he does look older than fucking 8. Like, but to give that good of a performance,
very good.
So Billy Bob's driving him home, and he's
questioning him.
He's asking all these fucking questions. Just the way he asks them, and it's like, it's over here. Like, he's just so off, like the kid. And then it is edited it's funny because I didn't have a chance to like watch them side by side, but it is more obviously comedic. If you remember, he's walking up and the way he pulls on the balaclava, it's more like obviously like, hey, isn't this like, I'd call it my mom's humor, like as in like, hey, I'm having a friendly conversation while I'm pulling on a balaclava. Whereas in the Zwigoff cut, it is more like he just kind of does it at the end, and it's not to say it's not funny, but it is less of a kind of a gag.
It's not as in your face.
Yeah, it's not as in the face of a gag. Yeah. And there is a great line coming out. Is Granny spry? And then he walks in and it's like, Granny, are you spry? And she's absolutely fucking out of it. Like, clearly like late stage dementia.
Yeah.
She's that actress is called Cloris Leachman.
Okay.
Who I think was kind of a big actress in the 70s and all that. I know the name. I've probably seen one or two of her things, but she's very... Again, she just seems like she was in that stage, like basically. But it's great. So he just basically is like, all right, great.
He's finding out the setup of what he has. Because the dad is, like he says, like his dad is off in the mountains or something like that. And the man.
Oh, some of the stuff the kid says is like, where it's like, my mom's with Jesus and the baby reindeer and the talking walnut, which maybe that makes more sense in the USA. I don't know, but I'm like, what the fuck is it? Yeah. It is. Well, if you have kids, you see, sometimes they just say random shit from like things that they see in a cartoon, and they mention it to you, and you're like, what are you talking about? Like, what are number blocks? Like, what? But to him, like, obviously the talking walnut means something. It does come back up again later. But as far as I know, he just robs him.
He does, he comes in and like obviously he's finding out what his family life is like. And like he's like, does your daddy have a safe? And then it goes to him taking the money out of the safe.
He's just such a scumbag.
He is, and the kid's just like, do you need the money for your new sleigh? He's like, exactly.
When they were introduced, he had a great thing. It's like, your beard isn't real. It's like, I was real sick, so my hair fell out.
And he was like, where's the reindeer? They're in the stable. Where's the sleigh? It's in the shop.
Oh, Jesus. Well, this is what I find fascinating. So apparently a lot of the feedback from like so they had test screenings, and the feeling of like Zwigoff, etc. was, well, you're kind of being the people moderating the feedback session are kind of leading them, and they were like, isn't he unlikable? Don't you feel like he's unlikable? And he says, you feel like you're kind of led down the path and all this. It never occurs to me, like when I say unlikable, I remember I was watching. I don't know how much these would mean to you. Star Trek Insurrection recently because I've too much time on my hands.
Star Trek.
There's a character now who you're supposed to really like, and it is they gave the actress some kind of difficult scenes. So, geez, how much do I want to go into this? But basically, the Star Trek, they land on this planet that seemed very simple, and then the people start talking about really advanced science, and Picard is kind of like, "Oh, really?" And then this woman goes, "Oh, he thinks just because we're so simple we don't understand this technology." And you're watching it going, what's your fucking problem? Yeah, of course he doesn't think so. Look, you're going around using shit with hammers. That's what, and you're like, I get her off the screen. I don't like her. Yeah. That's what unlikable is. Billy Bob Thornton is interesting and he's a fucking arsehole, but like unlikable doesn't kind of fit with what's going on. Like he's a bad guy, but that's kind of what's interesting about it.
That's the thing, because obviously it's like it ties into the film where it's like it's about Christmas and he's a mall Santa, so it's like it's the contrast which is what makes it funny and interesting. Is like he's supposed to be so loving and all that sort of stuff.
Like that's the incongruity. I just find it very, very like, I don't know, I just don't see, even in this Zwigoff cut, I'm like, it just doesn't occur to me to not want to watch him. That's what unlikable is. Or it's like, you know, like the fucking villain. Yeah, you're not supposed to like them, but like because they do bad things, or well, it's not always true. Like sometimes you can enjoy them, but I just found it like, what is this guy? So I am kind of sympathetic with Terry Zwigoff, like these fucking mouth breathers telling me I had to make my goddamn movie. But it just makes no sense to me to say what that is. And I promised myself I'd mention this. This film did kind of start. There was like not a franchise around, but like a trend. If you remember, there was Bad Teacher with Cameron Diaz.
Yeah, I remember that.
And Bad Moms. So it became. No, I did see a bit of Bad Teacher, and I was like, okay.
Wasn't the thing.
That was just like, hey, isn't she real foul mouthed and she's a teacher? And that was basically the bit I saw of it. That was it. Bad Moms, never saw it, no idea. But I would imagine I'd imagine, maybe being unfair, they're kind of hacky, you know, kind of like, isn't this outrageous? Like, you know, I remember when my mom saw the trailer for The Wedding Singer and she was like, what's that film with the rapping granny in it? And I'm like, that's what's ringing your bell, isn't it? So like, oh, she's old, but she's rapping, Jesus. The film has a lot more on its mind than, like, that was the genesis of it, apparently, apparently it was like, make it about a Santa who like drinks and stuff. Like that was it. Yeah, that's how it was. So it did come from that, but there's a lot more than that, you know, kind of going on. But he is he just robs that kid and he's like, oh fuck you, and he's not calling anyone to make sure he's okay. No, fuck you. So we're back to
I think it's next day in the mall, and then
next day in the mall, and then I think this is the scene in the Big and Tall, though, I think, where he's at. I never noticed it was a Big and Tall when I first saw it, but it is on the wall like women's plus size. So he is making love, the beast with two backs, as I will say in every fucking episode that I'm in, with actually, although she's not facing him, so maybe the beast doesn't have two backs.
That's his thing.
But he is having anal sex in the plus size with. And John Ritter is brilliant in this, and it has that bit at the end where he's like, "You won't shit right for a month." But John Ritter,
which comes back later,
in the next scene, the way he goes, "I'm in women's." He's talking to Bernie Mac, and he's reporting, and he goes like, "And I hear voices going, oh yeah." And he says it like so quietly and subtly, and he's like, "I have to say it, but I don't want to say it." And he's like, "Oh, you won't." SHIT, right? And it's just like such this prim and proper guy. And he keeps making excuses, like he's like, I'm no prude, you know, like I was against the Clinton impeachment and all this. And that's, I think Bernie Mac kind of does start taking him a bit more seriously. And he's like, all right, I'll look into it. But the way he says that, it's like, oh yeah. Fucking brilliant. Like,
did you know actually that in that scene with like Billy Bob and the woman's actually played by Lauren Graham as well.
Is she?
Yeah.
Is it meant to be her though, or is it meant to be someone else?
I wasn't sure. I read up that it was her in the scene. I suppose it's possible because it's not really.
It's not. It is kind of hinted that it's because I think later his sidekick or the person whose sidekick he is, Marcus, is kind of saying like you're hustling the big and tall. I think it's supposed to be, you know, a plus size woman. Yeah. Fair play to her, like, for, because it doesn't. You wouldn't know. Actually, well, even the fuck me Santa scene, you can't see her face, and I was like, what does it have to be her for? Maybe they just wanted to see if would she go along with things or whatever. Yeah. So we're in. He does. I don't know that it tracks that well. In terms of like he does get really fucked up some days, and then other days he's
that's one thing. Yeah, it's not really tracked too well.
It is, I think maybe that's just the realities of an alcoholic. Like some days you're more on than off than other days. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So sorry guys, we're just going through our list here. Mm-hmm. So because of that meeting, Bernie Mac is kind of checking out Billy Bob's motel room. So he's like, I need somewhere to stay. Yeah. So this is where he moves in with the kid, which is kind of the main thread of the story. Like the heist is important, but him moving in with the kid and
this,
in every version, like softening, more in some than in others, is kind of where it happens. Mm-hmm. And that is like some of the stuff is just even in the original cuts, like it's so realistic. Like the first night he spends in the house, like when he's in the bathtub and the kid's just asking him questions and he's barely awake. Yeah. And he's like, I don't know. What are they called? It's like, I don't know.
He starts
Sleepy
listening and from the dwarves.
And he's like, fuck, I don't remember this shit. But then he's like in bed and he is just like, he has a bottle of booze and he's just like, ugh, fuck. Like he is just, I can't be fucking, like he's just a fucking alcoholic, like fucking piece of shit. Like he's just like drinking himself into a stupor like every night. And it is good because it's even on all versions it is like pushed so far it's funny, but at the same time it's not unbelievable. Like it isn't like he's covered in booze cans, or they do that gag once or twice, but it's realistic. Like he is just like what are you talking about? Like I'm barely awake. Like just please leave me alone. And of course the kids ask him all these fucking inane questions.
It goes to the next morning then, and then he wakes up, which I feel like I like this kind of scene where he wakes up, and I think this is where the kid like has his usual line of do you want me to fix you some sandwiches?
Yes, then, that seems to be a big thing in the house. And
then they're talking, and then it's nice because then I think that's when the kid Thurman Merman whips out the advent calendar and starts explaining to him how it works, like about how each day has like a something about Christmas written in it, and the chocolate and all, which I do kind of like, because he does say to Willie like, oh, do you want to read this? And he's like, no, you go ahead. You want the chocolate? No, you go ahead. Which I feel like is the first sign of like Willie sort of coming around him a little bit, where he's like starting to indulge it a little bit. Like, okay, you go ahead. Tell me.
And funny, those are all reshoots with the advent calendar scene. All reshoots.
Oh yeah, they were.
I was surprised that it's integrated very well, but they are all recent. Now apparently the Bob Weinstein, who's not the really bad Weinstein, but he doesn't have a great reputation as someone to deal with. Yeah. He was like, okay, we just introduced his redemption a little earlier, which is true. Like, I mean, I gotta say, I think the version they ended up with, that ended up in cinemas, is really, really good. And I don't have any huge problems with it. Now, apparently it wouldn't have been... Sorry, apparently there was just a Todd Phillips cut. Oh. And the Coen brothers like lost their shit over it and were screaming and like, fuck you, no, fuck you. Like,
really, yeah.
Oh yeah, apparently they hit the fucking roof, which is when Zwigoff said, okay. Zwigoff apparently had final cut. Yeah. But Bob Weinstein was just so powerful. He was like, no, you don't. So there was a compromise between, and look, I hate to say it, like, because it doesn't mean, Zwigoff would be like, who gives a fuck about the money, which he's dead right about. The film was a box office success, and people really do like it. And I just think the commercial venture, like there was a more commercial film in what they shot than what they had initially planned. Whether that's right, wrong, or indifferent, it was in there. They had to add some stuff, obviously. Yeah. I think there's a lot to be said for kind of both. But apparently there was a cut that was just like, road trip, except this Bad Santa. I think they said American Pie. It's just fucking American Pie. I really like American Pie, so I'll say it's American Pie 2, which was a little hacky. But there was just a cut that is basically unrecognizable. So that's when Zwigoff came in and was kind of fixed on. Yeah. I think the Advent stuff is good. And
I really like it, yeah.
I like the scene where he fixes it for him later after we're kind of skipping ahead here, but when he pulls it out, it's like, it's a candy corn. Yeah. Well, they can't all be winners, can they? Like, he's still an arsehole. Like,
he's still an arsehole.
It isn't as if he's just flicks a switch and he becomes
it's getting the little signs in there which will go along for the rest of the film.
So then I think we're coming up on one of the scenes that just has me in fits of laughter, where he basically is telling Tony Cox and his wife, who is a grotesque Asian stereotype, I might add.
Really grotesque.
Holy fuck, like the way she purses her lips and all this, like Jesus Christ. But he's just like, you fucking asshole, what are you doing? You're going to get us in trouble. And he's like, what? I think, does he call him Sigmund Sawed-Off Freud?
Yeah, Sigmund Sawed-Off Freud.
But some of Tony Cox, I think this is the scene where he goes, you are just too pathetic for words, you fucking loser. And he just has no, he's just like so frustrated with it. He's like, all you have to do is fucking show up and talk to kids, and you can't even fucking do it, you fucking gobshite. Oh, he's so sick. And then this is another very famous scene where the woman comes up with her kid and he goes, I'm on my fucking lunch break.
Yeah. I find interesting about that as well is that it's like, obviously he's an alcoholic and has a completely horrible lifestyle. He smokes and all that. But in the scene, he's eating a salad.
I know.
He's just eating the salad.
He's eating like the healthiest thing.
Yeah.
But even I think actually he's eating it, but he's just gonna.
Yeah, he's just chomping.
And that's what makes Tony Cox like, oh, for fuck's sake, you fucking loser. What I think, does he also say? Your soul is dog shit, and that's
your soul is
every
dog shit.
Fucking thing about you is ugly.
Yeah,
your soul is dog. Oh fucking hell!
Would you say the thing with the salad was a gag, or do you think it was just probably?
I don't know. I think it definitely works. Like there's definitely some, because actually the other two are eating like corn dogs or something like very. I think must have been something like he's like, oh yeah, I had a bit too much to drink last night. I'll eat this.
Yeah,
maybe alcoholics like they eat a lot of salads or something.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I think it's pretty. No, sorry. I think it's pretty soon after this that Bernie Mac starts figuring out, okay, these guys are up to no good.
Yeah,
and
he would have visited the Thurman Merman's dad in prison.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, who's played by, I can't remember the guy's name, but he was a recurring character in Star Trek Voyager. Okay, if anyone out there wants it, very good actor. He's kind of noticeable. Yeah, they didn't play it this way, but can you imagine being that guy and you're stuck in prison and someone comes in and you're like, whoa, what the fuck? What's going on in my house? Oh Jesus Christ! They didn't play it that way. They just play it like house guest. I don't want to live in the reality where the guy is realistically being like, what's wrong with my son and I can't get out of prison.
Not that kind of film. Yeah, I'm
stuck in prison. Yeah. So the scene where he confronts them is again very, very, this is what I mean. Like Tony Cox has, I think, the funniest scenes in the film.
Yeah, the best.
So the scene where they're negotiating and he's like, I know what you're up to. Fine, I'll let you get away with it. I just want half. And he's like, 25, and he's like, half. And he keeps going up and he goes like 30%. There's three of us. And he goes, 30. No, I meant 33%. And a third. But the way he just, every time it's like, half. Yeah. And it's like, but then when he gets to, and he's like 49, and he goes, half. And then Bob Thornton's like, well, what's 1 point?
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's pretty well played.
The way he does it, like, it's genius. Oh, fucking great. And then again, they have another blow up where he's like, I'm sick of carrying you, you're fucking this and that. But again, like, he's just so funny. That I find that, I don't know how they reacted once he was cast, but I find it unbelievable. Like, people as great as the Coen brothers weren't just like, come on, man, this is. Yeah. I think they had to rewrite it a bit to kind of match, you know, his style, because the thing was that we didn't picture him as an African American. Basically, they do have a lot of people commented on it. Actually, the ears that he wears to be an elf are white, which is like kind of pointing at maybe some kind of slightly racist things going on there. Yeah. But jeez, he's so good in this.
No, he's really good.
So it's then the next morning, and again, I found myself wondering, like, is this? I found that they didn't really tie in like the days where he's really fucked up. Yeah. Like, maybe you could say that's kind of realistic, but he does show up the next day, and this is when he's absolutely fucking out of it.
On the escalator, isn't he? And he's like,
he's just complete. Actually, have we kind of skipped a lot of the stuff with the kid and the skateboard kids? I think we missed that.
There would have been a bit earlier on where we were introduced to the kids.
Sorry, because actually he shows up. It's just before Bernie. The kid shows up, and it's just before Bernie Mac. But I think it's after that.
Well, before all the negotiating bits, I think, where he would have.
So
the kids.
Basically, now it's in every version. So the kid gets beaten up by these skateboard kids. Will's a bit pissed off at him, and then he beats the shit out of the bullies. that is in every version of it. I was like, is that going to be in the Zwigoff one? Because that's kind of outrageous, but it is.
Yeah.
Now, the scene that's not in the Zwigoff cut is the boxing scene.
The boxing scene, yeah. That was a Todd Phillips one.
Yeah, I remember that being something that really made me laugh in the cinema, and it still makes me laugh. But if you know to look for it, you're like, this is a different register from the rest of the film. Like, this is not the same game as the rest of it.
Yeah.
Because the way like Billy Bob is like outwardly being like, here's how you do this, kid. I'm gonna show you the what fors, and like they would have had to go to a boxing ring and all this. Why would Tony Cox have gone along to help him? And he does even say, I don't know why I let you talk me into this shit. Yeah. But again, he's so funny. Like, he's like, he is pathetic. And he does call him the, which are words, we've said it once, and I think that's the enough, YouTube limit. Yeah. He calls him the F word, that's also the name of a bundle of sticks, just so we know. Yeah. And the scene ends with all of them getting punched in the dick and rolling around. And they even do like a joke with the way like Tony Cox falls over, and he's kind of like awkwardly falls over. But I just think it's very funny. And it is, the film, it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. Like, it is fairly of a piece of the film. It is more outrageous. Yeah. But it is like, it's a scene people would talk about. It's a scene people find funny. It's maybe kind of obvious, but it's well done.
It works into the kind of plot as well, with how like, obviously like the redemption are coming along, where he's starting to kind of show the kid, because obviously the kid is getting bullied, and he's getting wedgies and all from the bullies. And then finally now, like, Billy Bob's character is like, okay, I want to start showing you how to defend yourself and all this sort of stuff. Yeah,
it is again kind of the comedy of outrageousness. Like, can you like, he's helping the kid, but isn't it funny how inappropriate it is? Yeah. But it is funny, and it doesn't, I don't think, betray the tone of the film.
No, or the
Terry Zwigoff might say different, and that is absolutely is right. But I will say though, when I watched the director's cut, I didn't miss it. Like, I missed the scene with the bar scene. Yeah. And the advent calendar, I think I did miss that slightly.
Yeah, there was a part where, like, obviously we was introduced to the advent calendar part, and there's a part where Lauren Graham's character is over and she goes home, and then this is another like Todd Phillips scene where he gulps down a heartfelt amount of vodka, and then
actually, that's in the Zwigoff cut. I assumed it was a because it's exactly in the scene with the advent calendar where he rips it up. But no, that isn't the Zwigoff. That shot that you're thinking of, where the camera's like locked off on him, is a Zwigoff shot. Oh, okay. But the rest of the scene with the advent calendar isn't it? Yeah, they cut it in, and it's very well done. Very well done. Yeah, I actually do like that scene, because it's just something like a drunken asshole to do. He's just like, whatever, fuck it,
eats all the chocolate.
Yeah, and then it's the next morning that the kid. This scene did genuinely like freak me out the first time in the cinema, because the kid so realistically, he's just like, ow, 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 ow.
Wakes up
and he's just running and he's waking up and he's hung over to bits, and he's like, oh fuck. But that is actually, to give a lot of credit to Zwigoff, when you watch it without the advent stuff, without the boxing stuff, you do notice, okay, he's starting to come around a bit, because he does try and help the kid with his hand. He does it in an inappropriate way. Like, he puts the vodka on it. Yeah. It's like, I forgot to tell you to sting a little, that's all. But he tried to help him, and he just kind of go, God damn it. And he's trying to help him. Like, now he is just kind of in a position where you'd have to really be loathsome to not help the kid out. But the kid, and it's just so weird, like the way the kid acts. And he's like, I accidentally cut my hand. He's just going, ow, and he's just running away from him. And you're like, oh fucking hell, bizarre. And then they just they're setting up the heist and all this. Again, it's kind of clever the way they do it. They do the thing where Tony Cox figures out what the security system is, so he can switch it off and all that. Very well done. So we're kind of moving it. So him and Lauren Graham have just kind of moved into the house at this stage. What she thinks is going on there, I don't know that they go into.
No, they don't really touch on it that much from her perspective. Well,
she says something like he rents it or something like that, and she says, again, even in the director's cut, I don't find it. It's not a huge problem, but it isn't like the most convincing thing in it either. Yeah. Though I do like the scene where they're together, and again, he is just like, like he's just passing out, like he's a fucking miserable drunk. Like, she does seem to be a drunk as well, but they don't. Even in the Zwigoff cut, they don't
really explore,
really play it up that much. Again, maybe I wasn't paying as full attention, but I did not notice the huge difference that the people on the podcast.
No, there wasn't much at all. From what I was kind of watching, it's kind of a part of the film is there's not much for her character to do. As again, she's not even named in the film.
There, and like it's not unique to this. Like often, the female, like in Hot Tub Time Machine, for example, let's say the female characters in that are not hugely well developed. Lest anyone think I'm being too woke. There's female led films where the men are boring, whatever the fuck. Anyway, moving right along. So then, so sorry. We did, so the guy, sorry, we're kind of jumping around here. So the guy blackmails him, and Willie shows up the next morning. He's on the escalator, and he's absolutely fucked up, and he completely destroys the whole thing. Yeah. And he's just comatose, like can't do anything. Mm-hmm. Then Bernie Mac and Tony Cox have it. Again, just a hilarious scene where he's like, "Get him out of here," and Tony Cox is like, "How the fuck am I supposed to get him out of here? I'm 3 foot fucking tall." And they just go back and forth, and he's like, "My lips were on your wife's pussy last." Fuck. And it just draw me a fucking diagram. Doesn't he go? Yeah, he says, "Draw me a fucking sketch, Leonardo da Vinci." And he goes, "What'd you call me?" And he goes, "I called you a guinea homo from the 15th century." That is fucking genius. Oh, man. Some of the dialogue, and actually one of the things Zwigoff said was about the coma, and I thought this was really interesting. He brought this up as like a specific thing, and he goes, in the original script, someone said something, and then Willie said, "Thank God," and he said the Coen brothers changed it to "Thank the fuck Christ." Yeah, and he goes, they just have a great ear for dialogue, and again, it just sounds like the stupid tiny thing, but you're like, geez, that is just so much better. Yeah. Like there's character to it.
More unique, yeah.
Yeah, and the way, like obviously now that is subtler than like I called you a guinea homo from the 15th. That's a really out there, brilliant line. Yeah. But it does just like they're just a cut above. Like people on this movie were firing on all cylinders. Like it is really great. Mm-hmm. He did say, I found it strange, Zwigoff. He did say people get the wrong impression. I have no issue with the Coen brothers apart from the casting thing. Like they never comment on. No, none of the retrospectives. The Coen brothers don't seem to like to talk about this. Okay. But he did say, I think they're very, very talented. He did say, look, I prefer their dramas to their comedies. Now,
interesting. Yeah.
Okay. I think I would rate like Miller's Crossing a lot higher than I'd rate Raising Arizona, for example. I know this is a very beloved film of theirs, Raising Arizona. I like it well enough. Wouldn't be my favorite. But The Big Lebowski is one of their comedies. Yeah. I mean,
Burn After
I
Reading.
mean, come on, like, I mean, the fucking Big Lebowski, like, I mean, like, come on, Zwigoff. I know you're watching. Look, maybe he meant apart from the Big Lebowski, but that's such a perfect film. Anyway, fucking, we're getting somewhat off track here. Yeah. So then Marcus and who is Tony, I keep just changing them. Yeah. Him and his wife murder Bernie Mac. And again, quite a funny scene in the director's cut. So in the original cut, it's just kind of, it goes out on, they do a thing where can you give us a jump start? And again, the way Tony Cox plays is like, I'm sorry, my car seems to have broken down. Yeah. Can you help me? And like, something's up, but you're like, you still believe Bernie Mac would be like, yeah, all right. There's something believable about the way. In the original cuts, it just kind of ends with him, the wife kind of driving into him. He was like, oh. In the director's cut, he very slowly drags him over and puts his head underneath one of the wheels, and then his wife, like, you don't see his head crack open, but you know that's what happened. And you're like, holy fuck! Like,
in that
you don't. Now again, you don't see it explicitly, but you see him being dragged over. You see him put his head behind the wheel, and then you see his wife. There's a close up of the wife as she goes, and she obviously is driving over. It's a lot more obvious, like what happened. They make more of a meal of how difficult it would be to kill someone in that situation.
Not the version that I watched is the one they zap him in the head with the.
Excuse me, that's in the Batter cut. The Batter Santa cut. This one, I think it's a deleted scene on this. They extend it out a bit more, it's a lot more methodical. Let's say, it's pretty grim,
pretty vile. Yeah.
Not the end I'd wish for, as they say.
No.
So then basically they're all getting ready at the therm. I think it's revealed at a certain point. This is a Zwigoff scene where the kid gets his report card, and something weird's happening with the audio there. Oh, where's that coming from?
Is it me?
Don't know. I'm waving my arms, so I have to go through this. I do this every time there's a technical issue. Let's just soldier on. It is in the Zwigoff cut, the report card scene, which again is it is now that is again just nicely done. Like he's softening, but he's still an asshole. Like he's like he goes, I know there's no Santa. It is kind of like, well, what's he been doing all this time? But he goes, I know there's no Santa. I know there's this, but I just thought you might give me a present because you're my friend. And but he goes, even though I'm a dipshit loser, and Billy legit gets angry and he's like, what the fuck? You fucking talk about yourself that way? Don't fucking do it. And it just seems very believable. He doesn't do it because he's become great. He's just like, I'm here in this room with you, and I kind of want to see you do well or whatever. Very, very nice. And the way I liked how he got all C's on the report card. And he was like, he got one B, I think, and on all the rest are C's. And you're like, I would have pegged him as a D maybe at most, but like, geez, what was going on in that house before Willie showed up? Like, Jesus Christ.
It's scary.
It's eating sandwiches all day.
Horrific thing to imagine,
I know, it is actually quite dark to think like, Jesus, they're just in a house with non-functioning people. Like what the fuck? So then we're hyped up for the final big heist. There was, and again, it was quite funny. There was before he beats the shit out of the skater kids, we're jumping all over the place, folks. Willie had tried to kill himself by,
the exhaust.
The exhaust in the car. Again, it's something that should not be funny, but it just is. Like, he's just so fucking miserable. He's like, oh, fuck this.
And then he gives the letter to the kid.
Gives the letter to the kid, which does come back later. So they're gearing up for the heist, and they're obviously planning on having some kind of a Christmas at home. They're very confident they'll get away with this heist. I did think it came somewhat out of nowhere, where they show up and then it turns out this safe is really difficult to crack.
Yeah, there's not much to it.
And then it doesn't really go anywhere. Like, he just has to put in more effort. But it is a nice scene, actually. Apparently, Zwigoff was like, the scene never worked until they found the right music, because Tony Cox is chopping down the mannequin, and Billy Bob is whacking the thing with a sledgehammer. And they have that. It's a famous classical one that I don't know the name of, but it's like, oh, da, 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 da. And it has a nice rhythm to it. But then he just like opens a safe, and it doesn't really.
No, there's not much to it there.
Yeah. Which again, maybe just made the scene a bit more interesting. Whatever. I did like how he was legitimately good at safe cracking.
Yeah,
I did like
detail to his character.
That was something. And this is very Zwigoff now. The whole Tony Cox going around getting stuff for his wife. Like, he's really anti-consumerism. Like, if you ever watch that one he does Crumb, like that guy Crumb now is. I remember there's a bit where he goes, "Yeah, you see, he's a very weird guy. Like, I think he's even drawing a comic. He's like, you see all these young people and they have logos and they're walking around advertising for their own clothes." And you're like, oh yeah, that's actually kind of a good point. But like, Zwigoff now is very, very anti-consumerism and all this. Fair play to him, why not? So he's going around getting all the shit. And then Marcus pulls a gun on him and is turned on him. I thought it came out of nowhere, where Willie goes, "Look at all that shit. What do you need that shit for?"
I was going to mention that as well.
Did that seem...
that stuck out to me as well, where it's like, obviously the whole film was like exploring his redemption. We're coming towards the climax of the film, but it was like, it's very weird of him to suddenly now turn around and be all like, "Oh, what are you taking all that stuff for? Like, think of the kids." I think he says something like, "Think of the kids."
Yeah, or he says like it's Christmas or something
Christmas,
like that. Yeah. And I'm like, all right. Like, now obviously it means a lot to Zwigoff, so I think that's kind of why it's in there. But it did seem to me to kind of come out of nowhere.
Yeah, me too.
But there was I can't even remember what it was. He says, "Willie, the booze, there's something else, and the butt fucking, it's got to stop." And he's like, "Huh, the 3 B's." Which is it's such a, like, he knows, like, well, I may as well make a little. It is kind of funny, like, to say that, but like, he's I can't trust you, and like, I am so like on Tony Cox's side. Like, I am like, you are such a bit like, man, can you just show up to work and be a professional? Like, Jesus Christ. As much as, you know, you love Willie, but you are like, man, he's gotta. I think even Willie is like, I get killing me, like, I understand that, but then he goes into, do you need all that shit?
Yeah, we take all that stuff for,
and then they never make much out of, like, they make a lot, and his wife is a horrible stereotype. In his way, it's like, it is kind of funny, like, apparently he was, I think on the commentary he says her look was based off of one of his friends, like, mail order for the Bean O'Briens. Like, oh my fucking god. It was 2006, folks. It was a different time. Isn't there a joke like that in The Simpsons where Krusty goes like, "It was a different time," and then he said, like, it was made in 2000. He's like, "It was 1998." But things were a bit different back then. Although Terry Zwigoff being a lefty kind of like anti-consumerist does not mean he's Mr. Woke either. Do you know what I mean? No. And again, look, it is kind of an outrageous comedy, and at the time it was a little more. But then, did you recognize? So then the cops show up. Did you recognize who the cop was?
No.
I think you have to be my age. Yeah. He was a TV presenter of a famous TV show called America's Most Wanted.
Okay.
So in the 90s, it was kind of a thing that, like, on television shows, like, say, maybe in the bad, something like Law and Order, like, they would show like that because it was such a famous show. he was a known figure. Like I recognized him. I was like, oh, that's that fucking guy. Like he was apparently a real police officer, and he just looks like, you know, Mr. Spit Polish Badge and all this real slick hair. That was him, so it was kind of a gag that it's him being the cops. And then there's, you know, it's kind of funny, like there's a bit of a shootout and all this.
And then Willie grabs the pink elephant.
He grabs the elephant,
run out.
Which I think is actually the wrong elephant. I forget.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. It's funny, I couldn't even remember myself when I was watching it, because he's like, obviously the kid says he wants it. I think it was a purple elephant at first, and he says a pink elephant, or the other way around.
And I can't remember if he grabbed, but he wants to grab the elephant for the kid, and that, again, it's not hitting you over the head, but you know. Yeah. So he charges out of there. There's the it's actually, I have to say, it's quite well done, and like it was giving me the chills thinking today how they do it. You know, all the squibs would be CGI, all the gunshots would be CGI. There'd be fucking horrible digital photography.
Yeah, because a part like they shoot, I think, one of the pillars, and you see like a bit of the pillar come out. Like,
I don't know how, because his head was right beside it. It must be like some kind of a CGI effect, because it'd be too dangerous to do. Yeah, it was genuinely well done. Yeah, I don't know if this is in the original cuts, but in the Zwigoff cut, like a nativity scene gets kind of shot up as well. Yeah, not as much as I think. Squibs, working with squibs apparently was very, very difficult and time consuming, so maybe it just didn't go off the way they wanted, but they did do the shooting up the nativities. So then they've the quite well done car chase for a guy who you wouldn't think of as being an action guy. And then what is very, very funny, sorry, that's the scene then, which again to me is just fascinating, how he goes, fuck, the kid's getting his fucking present. And it does just change the whole thing of the scene. It gives it more drive. It, you know why he's doing it, like you know why he's doing. He's a goal. And then it plays out the same in both cuts. He's running into the house, and the police just fucking light him up. And the kids across the road see Santa being shot to pieces on Christmas.
An unarmed Santa being shot.
They're just like, oh Jesus! And the music, because the music like doom doom.
I think the music comes back from, is it the start of the film?
From the start, it's really peaceful. And it's like slow motion, and he's like, oh. Now, what I found I had assumed, because I heard the ending was different, and I was like, okay, it's completely different. That letter, that must be a studio note. The fact that everything kind of works out okay. No. It is all in the original. There's the bit that is different won't surprise you. Okay. But it's the same. Basically, he writes a letter where he's basically like, I'm not going to go to prison because I'm an unarmed Santa Claus and they shot me. Yeah. Mrs. Santa's sister, which was a good joke we missed that with that, is going to be allowed to move in with you, which doesn't strike me as realistic. No. I will say, actually, in the director's cut anyway, I don't know if this is in the other one, but she does just come off as like this kind of freeloading arsehole, because she actually gives, so in the director's cut, the final shot is the kid like washing Willie's blood off his driveway with a sponge, and in that shot, the Lauren Graham character gives him the bucket, and she gets into the hot tub to like relax. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like she's just this fucking waster who's like, off you go and do the work. Like so, there's even more of an edge. Okay, but it's all the same. He's not going to go to jail. No. The Tony and his wife got locked up. They got locked up. It is exactly the same, except for the skateboard kid comes back at the end. Oh yeah. He even gets the T-shirt like shit happens when you party naked. But it is more of an outrageous, like the ending. The kid comes up and he punches him in the balls and he cycles off, giving him the finger and all, everything. Yeah, that is. But again, I just don't see it like the Zwigoff one. It is just such a. I think like a normal audience, if you showed them side by side, you'd be like, what's the huge difference? Like that's kind of funny. That's kind of funny. The original is darker, like he's washing off his blood, but he's meant to be still alive. Yeah. And where I just think the other ones isn't that bad in the film. Like it doesn't seem to me to be like a sore thumb sticking out. Again, that might be down to Zwigoff and his re-editing. But then that is essentially it, and he's not even on screen for the last bit, which is maybe probably kind of appropriate. But he does that voiceover so well. Billy Bob.
What did you think of the ending? Like, do you feel like, obviously you're saying there everything like wraps up very neatly? Like he's not going to jail. She's moving into the house. How did you feel about the ending?
Yeah, I have to say, I was surprised in the Zwigoff cut that he survived. I have to say that. It reminds me, and this will maybe be kind of weird. I think both versions were really quite good. Yeah. I do think it's more mainstream and it's kind of nice. It just depends. I remember that Ben Affleck movie, The Town, which is about criminals and all this. And I remember watching it going, yeah, he is a horrible bank robber criminal, but it is just a normal movie I'm kind of enjoying.
Yeah.
So if he just gets away with it and it's a bit immoral, what's the problem?
What's the problem, yeah.
But if the film were like a complete masterpiece that transcended the genre, I'd be like, what a cop-out. Yeah. How dare you have him get through it? Yeah. And the other one was the movie, because it has a direct contrast, The Patriot with Mel Gibson, which is kind of like Braveheart Redux, except more mainstream. Yeah. Which is not to say Braveheart's an art house film. Yeah. But he dies at the end of Braveheart because it's a fucking... whatever you think of it, it's a brilliant film that's really getting us up. And I remember watching The Patriot going, do these fucking idiots think they're making Braveheart? Because they're not. This is just a cool movie where he kills people. So I was like, just let him live. Just let him live at the end. So I find if the film isn't really pushing something, it didn't. And again, I don't want to take away from Zwigoff. I don't think it would have supported him dying at the end. I just don't think I would have been satisfied with it. I was kind of like, good for them. Like maybe it was a little too soft. But
for me, I remember actually it was like a Mandela effect where I obviously haven't watched it in years, and I thought when I was younger, like with him writing the letter, that he was actually writing it from jail. So I thought he'd went to jail in the end, which that part I would say, I don't know if it's full on cop out and I don't like it, but I do feel like it is a little bit too, he gets a bit too easy with like, because he wrote the letter and because he was unarmed. Like it's justified in the film.
Well,
I suppose it is.
Now what you meant, that might be a bridge too far that he doesn't even go to prison.
No,
come on, he could go for a year or two.
Yeah, that's what I thought. If he had got like a reduced sentence or something.
Yeah, it is that's why even that's in the Zwigoff cut, which I found surprising. I was like, Jesus, sorry, he's even not going to, because the rest of it is more, kind of misanthropic and all this. Yeah. He isn't actually, funny enough, again, those guys saying Todd Phillips is the mall version of him, the mainstream. Yeah, I think he's more misanthropic than fucking Terry Zwigoff. Like, do you remember the end of Old School, where in the post credits, there's a character whose only sin is that he's a bit of a dick, and he gets killed by a car that falls on top.
Off.
Yeah, that's misanthropy
playing
now.
to rock music and all. Yeah,
that's cynicism now. That is like, hey, fucking, isn't this outrageous? Like, Zwigoff doesn't play that game. Like, now it does just so happen, that was. I think that appeals to a certain type of person more than Zwigoff's more art house kind of sensibilities. But he isn't as much of a funny enough, like it's the guy they brought in to, hey, make this more mainstream, which I kind of find funny. But what's your overall thoughts on the film? I haven't rewatched it after all those years.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It did actually make me laugh out loud like a lot of times as I was rewatching it, because I've remembered some like the general gist of the film, but some of the gags were just hilarious. Up with that scene we're talking about in the parking lot with the fella who's attacking him. Yeah, that's stuck out to me as a great scene. And then I really enjoyed just the dynamic between the kid and Willie, just like how they got along. Kind of gives the film more heart, and I think speaks to what we were talking about earlier, with how we so like misanthropic and so miserable. You finally start to see like the layers of him kind of peel off, and leads into his like kind of redemption throughout the film, which was actually a question I'd like to ask you, is like, how do you feel about his redemption arc throughout the film? Like, do you feel like it's well paced throughout the film, and like, do you feel like the ending of it is kind of justified? Because obviously the film itself is just about his redemption from being an alcoholic and stuff. Yeah, well, it's funny, he never goes off the booze as far as I remember. He's an alcoholic at the end as much as he is at the beginning. Yeah. But in terms of like him just slightly improving, like even as I just do like how he doesn't turn his life around, but he's just, there's more of a sprinkle of humanity to him, and he has people to kind of care for. That was always part of the plan, was he would be redeemed by, or he'd have some measure of redemption. And I do have to say, in some deference to Bob Weinstein, who, apparently maybe not the nicest guy to deal with, but he did say, I don't think we destroyed it, and the redemption starts a bit earlier. He said, we did not turn this into slightly naughty Santa. It's still bad Santa. I think in all the versions, he's equally as kind of redeemed. It is subtler in the director's cut, but I think it works quite well. And I do, like, even in the Bad Santa cut, like with
I just find that funny, like where he did repair the advent calendar. Like you'd never see him putting tons of effort into it. No. He does a half-assed job.
Yeah.
But even when he's like, "That's a candy corn," it's like, well, it can't all be winners. I'm just like, he hasn't changed that much, but he's putting in that tiny bit of...
There's even the bit later where the kid opens the next one and it's like, oh, an aspirin?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, like he's just like... He's still like basically barely functional, like, but he is like whatever, but he did it. And I just don't think they ever pushed it too far that you are like no one would ever accuse it of being like sentimental or anything like that. No. And it doesn't, except occasionally, fall into the, you know, the comedy, as I say, of outrageousness, like the Todd Phillips. Can you believe what's going on here? Like the guys in The Hangover are like, the joke is how obnoxious they are and how fucking far it goes. And how he was allowed made Hangover 2, I do not. I remember just being depressed when I came out with it. I was like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, the third one I think did do, I'd call it the Ocean's 13 thing, where they're like, maybe we went a bit too far the last time. This is a bit more conventional, innit?
Really? I would have felt like the third one was the darkest for me.
Really? I only saw it once on a plane, so maybe I'm wrong.
I just remember the third one, there's not much comedy to it, and then there's
like a heist film or something.
It's a heist film, yeah. And there's like the thing with the giraffe at the start of the film.
Yeah, that is very him, like Todd Phillips. Yeah. I could be wrong. I do just remember. I saw it on a plane.
I think it's probably humor style as well.
I could be talking about it, but I remember the second one. I just felt like I needed a fucking shower after.
The second one is definitely darker though.
Like the bit with the lady boys and the thing, and it is just like. Doesn't even seem to be trying to be funny. Like, it just seems to be trying to be disgusting and stuff, which is not to say the whole thing's disgusting. But the way it was filmed, like the griminess and the colours of the whole thing, it's like, Jesus, what is he getting at here?
Yeah.
And I think in his defense, he's a bit more, he wanted to do other things as opposed to just those kinds of comedies as he showed with Joker. I didn't see the second one.
I didn't see the second one, no, I didn't bother.
I like, because fucking at the school, everyone, like the kids, they're not kids, they're adults, but a lot of them really like Joker. And like, what do you think of Joker? And I'm always like, because I know they love it. And I'm like, I'm going to say something. And I'm like, all of the stuff with him is great. And then they're like, and here is Bruce Wayne. And I go, oh God.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's a pretty good movie about a mentally ill man that has this fucking really incongruous Batman stuff in it. And I'm like, wee. But it wouldn't have gotten made without that. No. Like I'm kind of tearing him down a bit. He has other stuff on his mind than just gross out humor and all that, though he really pushes. He does. He really fucking pushes it. And it is, I just find it funny that he was the guy they called in. Like, he was kind of perfect for it though.
Yeah.
Because if they just called in like the fucking Happy Gilmore guy, and I fucking love Happy Gilmore, don't get me wrong, that would have been a major fuck up. But I think they got they
got someone with a bit of flair to it rather than just a studio, because that's the thing. If it was just, as I said, like someone like a director for hire, then it just would have been like all of Terry Zwigoff stuff, and then the other director stuff would just be very plain. While with this, it kind of like, it has a bit of charm to it.
Yeah, he's similar enough now. I can imagine Terry Zwigoff watching this like in his teeth grinding and he's fucking like this, and I am completely sympathetic to him. But as an objective outsider, as someone who, and Billy Bob Thornton apparently took a similar tack. He's like, look, these people put a lot of money into the film. You kind of need to pay attention to them. Now, maybe some of it is his tension with Zwigoff. I don't know. But, and then he did take part in Bad Santa too, which
probably a good paycheck.
Points to question. I'd imagine. Apparently Zwigoff got shafted on that as well because they made it just at the right time when his rights had lapsed or something like that.
Okay,
so poor bastard. Like, I think he's doing okay. I think he's made decent money that 2 years. But he hasn't done anything in like 20 years or something, which is a bit of a shame.
I haven't heard of his name.
Yeah, and I am convinced that I saw that interview with him, and I got the feeling watching that this is a man who was like, I don't give a fuck anymore. I'm probably never going to make anything again. So fair play. As I say, if I am misremembering that, it is a very specific fucking memory lapse that I'm having. I remember it was him, and he was talking about Billy Bob, and he said something like, let me guess, 12 days in, and that, so some tensions, but sometimes that great things come out of it.
Absolutely.
So we're in our non-submersible unit part of it. Was this tradition kept up?
It was kept up while you were away.
Should we maybe just take a quick chat? This was a term Stanley Kubrick used to describe like things in a film. He said you don't need everything to connect. You just need 6 or 7 non-submersible units, which are like things that keep the film afloat.
Yeah,
basically. So for you, what are the non-submersible units of Bad Santa? Why is it still well thought of, which it is?
For me, I think from watching it the other night is just the relationship between Willie and Thurman Merman, where it's just that relationship. I feel like it's just the foundation of the film in terms of Willie's redemption arc, and just I feel like for me, that was where most of the comedy kind of was, and kind of the charm of it, because that's just where you see his character grow. And even though he had all the great scenes with Tony Cox and like with the fella in the parking lot, I just felt like I was laughing more in the scenes with the kid, and just seeing like how their relationship kind of developed as the film went on. You see like Willie started to become a bit more open. It kind of ties into his character as well, where in some of his monologues and like speeches to like, whether it's voiceover or talking to the kid, he mentions his dad a lot about like how his dad was abusive and stuff like that. And I feel like that kind of ties into their relationship, where he kind of becomes a bit of a father figure to the thing, which works for Willie's character as well, in terms of how he has turned himself around a little bit, where he's not kind of completely going down the full route of being like his dad, of being an alcoholic for his whole life and being horrible for his whole life. Now there's a bit of
it's interesting. Like it's not a coincidence that his dad would have been like, they make it kind of a joke. My dad was an alcoholic asshole. Put cigarettes out of me or something like that. Yeah, very good. I would have to say, in terms of like what makes it a great film, I would say everything you said. Tony Cox, those scenes are just brilliant. I think what makes it live is the image of the Bad Santa. I do just think you're like, why the fuck did no one ever think of that before?
Yeah.
Like, it's just so obvious, but no one had thought of it. Like a guy who's just like, oh, fuck it.
Yeah.
Just goes against that image. And I find it weird that people find it so offensive. I find
Really, do you remember, did you read about like Universal, what they actually have it written down?
Oh, yeah.
They said, like, because when it was originally written, it was given to Universal, and Universal rejected it. And what did they say? I have it here. It
was something like, yes, most evil.
Oh yeah. It said Universal rejected it, saying it was the foulest, disgusting, misogynistic, anti-Christmas, anti-children thing we could ever imagine.
Yeah,
that's why they.
And I believe it was a Bob Weinstein quote. He said, "Well, that's why I wanted to do it."
That's why they took the film, which I feel you can kind of see and kind of.
It's. But that, I just see that. See, that's what I mean, is when I'm more sympathetic to the studio, or whatever you want to assign that to, as doing it in that they're like, come on, we have a fucking we have a commercial winner here. Can we just fucking amp it up a bit, like, because it's just such a great, like, it's something that will get people into the cinema. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, nice. And I think it's those images of him like passed out on the fucking escalator, him like puking his ring up, him like, fucking destroying the thing, like those kind of things. I think are kind of that's what I think immediately you think of, is just him and the Santa, because he's always wearing it. Like he can take it off when he finishes, but he always fucking wears it.
He's always called like Santa Claus by most of the characters. I feel like even like by Lauren Graham's character and by the kid, they always just call him Santa. He's sort of like dehumanized.
Yeah, it's funny. Like he's so not that guy who just wants nothing to do with them, and he's just like, oh, whatever. Like fucking like.
Would you feel like, actually, from that quote that I just read about like it being anti-Christmas, would you think of this film as anti-Christmas?
I actually wouldn't know, because like that line is in all the versions. Come on, Jesus Christ, it's Christmas. Like it kind of has some belief in it. It does go against a lot of the tropes of it.
Yeah.
Like, they don't seem to have a huge amount of reverence for the Santa Claus character, for example. And the way it's set in Phoenix, where there's no snow and all this. And even at the beginning, the way they subvert it, like where there is snow, but he's like, like puking up in the fucking alleyway. But I wouldn't call it an anti-Christmas film, because Christmas to me is, like, the thing is, it is about, like, obviously everyone wants a white Christmas and blah blah blah, but like there is like the sense of, shouldn't we be a bit nicer this time of year? I mean, for God's sake, like the film has that mentality in all the different versions. Like, let's just use this as an excuse to be nice to each other. I actually don't think it is. I think a lot of people are very kind of narrow-minded. Like, I saw some Christian website where they were talking about it, and like, oh, it's fucking this and that. And I think it was Billy Bob Thornton. He said, someone at a screening said, oh, this is awful and this is terrible, and Jesus and Santa, and he goes like, well, ma'am, I don't know if you've read the Bible, but I have, and Santa Claus ain't in it. And like, yeah, well, he's fucking right. Like, it is just a commercial.
True,
I know it is kind of a meaningful thing to people. But yeah, I don't see it that way.
No,
and like if it wouldn't work if that wasn't kind of something the film was acknowledging, you know, has cachet, like. So
yeah,
I don't see that at all.
No, I feel like it's more anti kind of consumer, or like in how people treat Christmas, which kind of like ties back into what myself and Keith were talking about the past few weeks between Jingle All the Way and Scrooged, where it's like, I feel with this film it's about anti-consumer, or in terms of how like minimum wage workers are treated around Christmas. That's what I feel like it's kind of getting at, because even in like the scene we were talking about where they're in the mall and they're eating the food, like I think there's like an establishing shot of that scene is like other workers in the mall being like bored, yawn, and all that sort of stuff. And then obviously that scene ends with him being approached by the mom and her son while he's on his lunch break, and she's all like, oh look, it's Santa Claus, you know, Santa, say hello, which obviously like his reaction is horrible, and it's not right at all. But I feel like it ties into like what's trying to say is like how workers are treated at Christmas, and that as I was saying about how his character is constantly called Santa by people, he's never really referred to as Willie.
Willie T. Soak.
Willie T. Soak,
yeah. For anyone at home, because a lot of people don't really like these depth readings of them. If you've read anything about Terry Zwigoff, I would imagine that was conscious on his part. Like he's really that guy. Like he's like, oh, this fucking consumer. Look at all these fucking assholes doing their. Now you could argue he could maybe be more charitable, but makes him an interesting artist. You know, I must actually rewatch Ghost World because I remember liking it at the time. And again, maybe now I'd be like, oh, I am supposed to like these characters, but again, it just didn't. Again, that unlikable thing, I just find it like that character I mentioned in Star Trek Insurrection. That to me is the quintessential. Like, oh, get this fucking person off screen. That particular character, it improved. Like, it's no knock on the actress. It is just. Look, this was a badly written scene where you kind of come off as like an arsehole, you know, and all this. Whereas like with someone like Willie, you're like, well, this is just the character. Like, you know, you don't have to think he's doing a great job here, but like, what is it really fucking? Like the way even when they set up the money, like when you think about it, it's horrible, but it's not as if they set it up like, you know, the kid really needs that money. You didn't know it was there. Like the film plays a game of again, like the scene with the dad in prison, like they play the game of him just being kind of a dopey idiot as opposed to being a guy who's like, what are you telling me? Where is my son? I'm stuck in prison. Like it plays a game with it, but it, you know, it has to be palatable somehow.
Absolutely.
Like, or else it'd be really fucking depressing. Star rating. Kieran,
star rating.
This one.
I think I'll give it a good 3.5 stars. Obviously with the what I like about the film comes from the humor and the relationship and between Willie and the kid, and then with Marcus as well. In terms of like things that I would make it fall down for me a little bit is like the ending is a little bit not too soft, but just the whole thing of him not going to jail is a little bit like a bit step too far in terms of how he gets away with everything, and kind of just as well, like it's like what we've obviously been mentioning about the Weinstein has done the film, which I feel he can kind of feel their influence a little bit in terms of how like with the characters of like Lauren Graham's character not really been named, and there's not much depth to her character.
I was going to mention apparently they had thought of Mira Sorvino for that part. Now she was very famously blacklisted by Harvey Weinstein. Now what I'm about to say could be misinterpreted. Now people are getting really nervous at home listening to me. The whole Harvey Weinstein, horrible sex predator. I don't think I've told this on the show. I was in the same room as him twice in Hong Kong because he was over at a film festival thing that was going on. Didn't talk to him, but I was in the same room with him. Now, when I say the following, what I mean is I understand how terrible it is and it's awful. But when I say like he was a person who sexually assaulted people, and like I understand that. I know there's people like that. I understand the impulse that drives it. He's a powerful man who just wants to control people. He's a horrible guy. And I'm like, okay. What I find baffling, like the mystery of evil is, he'd be like to famous actresses, you know, like, yeah, you better fuck me or I'll ruin your career. And they'd be like, no, I'm not going to do it. I genuinely have no theory of mind for him actually picking up phones and saying, don't hire that person, knowing he's doing it because that person turned him down. I'm like, he must have had some self-respect. Like, I just find that, like, genuinely psychologically mysterious. Because apparently, well, in this case now it's slightly, again, I am not in any way, I am mystified by this behavior is what I'm kind of driving at. Apparently Zwigoff would be like on the phone to the two Weinsteins and he'd say Mira Sorvino and like they just hang up on him. Now that's someone asking the guy to hire. So I'm like, okay, I can kind of see, you know, him just saying no. Again, it is not okay. I'm just saying I can see how he could justify, he could look in the mirror and be like, all right, yeah. But he actually would call people up and be like, I heard you hired her. Don't. Like, fucking don't. She'll fucking ruin your movie. He did it with Ashley Judd as well. She was... Either her or Mira Sorvino. I think it was Ashley Judd was going to be in Lord of the Rings, which had nothing to do with the fucking Weinstein company or Miramax. And he called up Peter Jackson and was like, she's crazy. Don't fucking hire her. I just cannot... I can have a theory of mind of someone who does sex crimes and all this. I am just like, what? How did he... Because you must be able to look in the mirror and say something to yourself. I find it just
some people
baffling.
You never know up there.
We got very, very dark there, but I stand by all. I just find it psychologically confounding that you can do that and just like
some people go to such depths. You never know.
I know it's again what now you could argue like doing the assaults was way worse, but again that I'm just like I just don't get it. Like you have to go out of your way to do it. Very, very strange. But I give Bad Santa 4 out of 5.
4 out of 5, perfect.
I was surprised how much. I don't know. I was half expecting it when I rewatched it for this to not like it as much. I forget why. I just think maybe I thought I'm a bit older now.
Yeah, you think maybe the comedy's a bit
not
childish.
No, I really was in knots of laughter. A lot of those Tony Cox things and the I am not gay. Whoever wrote that scene. My hat's off to you. Where did that come from? I don't know, but fucking genius.
That'll probably be another non-submersible unit.
So this has been released the week of Christmas. So Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
May Billy Bob Thornton and his good fortune with women ever be with you. And we'll catch you on the next one.
So Merry Christmas to you all.
Signing out.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Oh yes, please like and subscribe on all the major platforms. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.